All right, so let's talk about, this is our second lesson that
Yes.
I'm watching. Talk to me about it. Tell me what am I going to say?
Well, what I'm trying to do is, when I was doing the reading connected text, I was doing fluency, and she kind of asked me, Dr. Leftwich kind of asked me, like, what's the purpose of the fluency? And he actually has pretty good fluency, but what he doesn't do is, like, he kind of runs the paragraphs together, and she asked if that was affecting his comprehension. And I mean, not at the second grade level.
Sure, but maybe higher.
Yeah, he's going into fourth grade, so, you know, I'm not sure if that's exactly I think it's the more thinking strategies that are affecting his comprehension. I just always thought and have read that good fluency, you know, is an important factor leads to, you know, greater comprehension.
Yeah, like automaticity.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
So, you know, he did struggle a little bit with some meaning, like figuring out words. So I thought, all right, what I'm going to do is, basically I felt like she was telling me not to do fluency.
Okay.
Like that was the message I was getting. So, which I get her point, because he needs so much more than that. And I think her point was, not that he doesn't need it, I think her point was that, is that what time best spent right now? So the more I thought about it, I thought, okay, so I backed up a little bit and started with schema.
Okay.
Because I went right into questioning, which was great, and what good readers do before, during, and after. And, but I just feel like, to put all the pieces together, he needs to understand, like, where he's making his predictions from. So we did schema, and that went great.
And was that Thursday?
That was Thursday.
Okay.
Wednesday.
Oh, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay.
And then I'm going to start with using our schema to make connections today. So to segue into that, I want to do some word work. Like, we're going to do it's my Rotten Redheaded Brother today, and by Patricia Polacco, and
I like her. I like her a lot.
Yeah, I'm pulling from her because it's about brother and sister, and he has a little sister. So, and he's very close with his family. So I'm kind of doing like a 2 or 3 day family unit.
Okay.
So I thought, for reading connected text, I found a nonfiction book about families. So I'm going to start with the vocabulary piece for word work.
Okay.
Instead of doing word study, traditional old word study.
Okay.
I'm going to start with vocabulary and decoding multisyllabic words.
Okay.
That will give him greater meaning for the whole family unit.
Sure.
Then we're going to read the nonfiction for connected text. We're going to read the nonfiction book about families. Then we're going to move into, you know, making connections while we read the text.
Something just went off. I don't know what it was, but that's right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you are going from where you were thinking more of a fluency. You're now going more, instead of not wasting time, but instead of using your time that way, you're now going to go into more of a schema building so that he can see the connection between schema and the questionings, and moving into that, continuing to go on what good readers do before, during, and after the reading. So it's kind of like showing how they come together. Am I understanding correctly? Okay, great. All right. As you see the lesson, how do you see the lesson unfolding? What do you see what do you think Greg's going to do?
Well, I'm going to start off with showing him the vocabulary, because he kind of, what I've learned over the past week is that he doesn't really have any strategies for vocabulary.
Okay.
So I want to see if, you know, what I'm doing with him starts to build his vocabulary through conversations, and, you know, letting him kind of make meaning through my guidance, but make meaning on his own, because I was reading that, you know, and we've read it in our classes before, that you can't just give him a definition.
No.
You know what I mean?
So it doesn't do nearly as good. I read the same thing. I can't remember if it was last book or last class or 5 classes before that. I remember. I know you're talking about.
So this was the strategy that I kind of, the vocabulary words are like, I'm going to show him a family tree, so diagram, and that's kind of like a tier 2 cross-curricular. Like, I'm trying to build that level of vocabulary. Married, maternal, paternal, previous, and relative. So first I was going to, like, contextualize the word for him, like show it to him in the text. I want him to repeat it. I'm going to show it to him, you know, actually first I'm going to have him try to read it to see if he can decode it.
Okay.
And then, you know, then I want, through conversation, I want him to come up with like a I guess a lay term meaning of each word. You know what I mean? So that he understands, doesn't matter what the dictionary says, because he had mentioned the dictionary.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's more about context and, you know, pulling out pieces of the word, like maternal, he might think of, I don't know.
Well, before you move on, let me just make sure I'm understanding, because I think I get a really good understanding of what you're saying. That you want him to get a variety of different ways to see the word, in text, in isolation, in conversation. So you got multiple ways of him actually working with the word. And then you want to see if he can come up with like a common definition for himself, so that when he sees it, he has an understanding of what it means, not so much what the technical definition is, as long as it's workable.
Right.
Okay.
And I didn't mention this, but right in the beginning, I'm kind of going to give him the words and have him sort them by, like, I've heard this word before, I absolutely know what it means, or I've never heard it and have no clue, just to kind of get a picture, you know. And my thought is that he's going to put most of them in I've never heard it before, because that's like what he doesn't really rely on what he has already going on in his brain, which is the same thing he was doing with reading, but he's really trying. You know, he's really, you saw from the lesson, I mean, he's trying to do everything. Like, he was writing his own schema, you know, moving it around, like telling me to add this to his new learning. So, I mean,
he seems engaged and motivated.
Yeah,
which is
from
awesome.
Day 1 to day 4 was like unbelievable.
That's awesome.
You know? Yeah, it was good.
As you see the lesson unfolding, you told me what he's going to do, but what do you envision yourself doing?
Well, I mean, the whole time I just want to be kind of guiding him to learn that he needs to figure out words on his own and how to go about that, and also connecting those words to a text that we're going to read. And what I also want him to see is from that word, this is what I got from my conversation with Lefwich, and I feel like it's going to be a good lesson, I hope.
I'm sure it is.
But, you know, building that vocabulary and background, reading a short informational text on families and having a discussion about that, and then showing him that that's all connected to the text, the fiction text that we're going to read, the literature. So, and I want to show him, like, these, we talk about adding files to our brain schema, like even words are files too. It's not just concepts, it's words. So I'm hoping to make all those little connections for him and guide him to...
So if I hear you correctly, you almost want him to have aha moments, like, wait a minute, I've read, oh, this book is like this book, it has a family or something. That would be ideal for you, that he put those, as you said, put the files in his brain and then see the connection between the two.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I kind of want to, and I guess through my questioning, I want to help him make those connections. So that's kind of what I want you to look at, I guess.
Okay. I did need to write that down. And I forgot that. Right.
Where's my pen?
I don't know.
I have it.
Okay, I had it, and I don't know where it is.
There we go.
Oh, look at you. Oh, thank you, ma'am. I'm going to use the back of this paper, too. And I'll get it back to you. Okay, so you want me to...
I just want you to see if I'm making connections between word work, like the vocabulary.
Okay, making connections between vocab and what?
And the text that
And the
we're
text?
going to be reading.
The first one or the second one? The fictional one?
I guess coming towards the comprehension at the end.
Okay.
Because I'm going to do word work with the vocabulary, then I'm going to do the read it connected test is going to be the fictional, and I guess towards the end would be where it would all come together anyway, so you wouldn't have to be here the whole time.
Okay, well let me think about this. When you want me to look for between vocabulary and text, when you say text, do you mean the fiction or non-fiction
Both
text?
the vocabulary, the non-fiction, and how we're applying it to...
Okay, so it's non-fiction and how you're going to apply it to the fiction. Okay. Is there anything else you want me to look for? Anything from his angle?
I guess just if he's making those connections, because the lesson is going to be about making connections and using your schema.
Okay.
And to make
Is there any vocabulary you want to hear him using? Making the connections between schema.
I don't know. I guess.
I mean, are you going to teach him the word schema? That word?
He knows.
Okay, he knows that. So should I listen for him to say things like my schema is or my background knowledge? I mean, would he use words like that? Or is that not really important?
No, I think it is important to use the correct vocabulary. I mean, you could do that
Just
for
check,
me
just
and then I can
just
try
check to see if he's using it. Using vocab.
I guess that would be a way to know that he's actually making the connections too. So.
Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to ask. Is there anything that, when you look at this lesson, that you would say to yourself, this was a success? I mean, there's varying degrees of success. That you would say, yep, this is ultimately where I would love him to be. This is kind of where I would like him to be. Like, if he's in between these two sections, I know it was a success. Is there anything that you're looking for particularly?
I guess that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to have him connect the three components of the lesson.
Okay.
The word work, the background informational building text, and then applying it to strengthen his comprehension in the literature.
All right, cool.
Does that make sense?
No, I do. Yeah, no, you want him to generalize this over different literatures, not just one type and then moving on. You want him to take it from generalizing from word work to one type of literature and then to another, and still have that connection.
I want him to understand that he's the whole building background part, and reading some informational text and everything that you're adding to your schema can help you comprehend.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I get it. So I know what you're saying that you want me to look for. I definitely will do that. I'll make a little chart again. And if there's anything that you think of when I come in that you want me to add, just let me know. But yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
I'm excited to see the lesson because I think it sounds like it's going to be a motivating lesson, especially for him, because it sounds like he's just eating it all up.
Yeah, he really is.
So that's great. I'm excited to see Mr. Gregory.
Thank you.
All right, I'll see you later today.
Okay.
All right, so we just got done seeing your lesson with Gregory. So I took a lot of notes as you worked with him. When I had gotten in there, you had already done the fiction story, so now you were working on the nonfiction, right?
I had done the nonfiction, and I was working on the fiction.
Okay, I meant that. Thank you. The opposite, good. All right, so you wanted me to see, to make the connection between schema and story from him, and then also that you continue to make references or connections between the text and the words.
I just wanted to see if he was making connections using his schema, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I just want him to be able to see the importance in that. And then if they were good or not good.
Yeah, and go over that. All right, so one of the things I saw was you did a really nice job modeling, reading orally. Why did you decide to read out loud for him?
Usually when I start a lesson and I'm doing like the I do part, I read it aloud to him so that he could hear good fluency, and also, the books are sometimes long, we have a short period of time, so I'll do a few pages, give it to him, and then if I see him struggling, I might pull back and do a page and then give it back to him.
So if I hear...
Did he read orally? Or
yes, he did. Both of you did. You started and then he did.
Yeah,
but
I think he just started following me orally and then he started reading to himself.
And then he did read to himself.
Yeah,
That's another thing I'll go over, question I had too. But so if I understand you correctly, it was part of your practice or procedures to do modeling, I do, we do, then you do.
Yeah.
So that would help him. Okay. Let's see, I saw the use of vocabulary, the maternal, and I knew that was something that you were working on. So at that point, did you feel like he made that connection?
I think I reminded him of it. He said he had made it, he did make it, but he didn't say it. But he doesn't say a lot unless you pull it out of him. That's part of the issue. But when I said that, he goes, oh yeah, I did think of that. So I knew he must have.
Yeah.
Because...
well, he said it to you. When you asked him what it was, he did say it.
Yeah, he knew.
But then
I did not know in the beginning when we started that lesson.
I do remember him saying no, and then, well, you know what, I kind of did. And I remember him saying that, and then he's like, well, I guess I must have, or something. Like, it took him time to get there. Okay, there was a time I noticed when you were working, you modeled how to take notes, jot down brief notes for the connections. and then you reread a portion. You had a connection, and you wrote it, and then you put it on the board, and then you went back and you reread that section. What was your process there? What were you looking to accomplish?
I wasn't sure if he was getting it, so I've been trying to tell him that good readers go back and reread, so I like to throw that in every once in a while and model it, and
so again,
just clarify thinking and know that it's okay.
So again, you're just modeling again. Really, that was really good modeling. I felt like I hope he picked up on it. I did. I realized that you were showing me what good, or any student, this is what good readers do. So I hope he did.
After you had left, or you might have still been there, I asked him to, we had talked about a little section, and I asked him to reread a section, because I felt like he really, were you there?
I don't know if I was
It was
there.
right, it was the last page.
Oh, no, I was not.
I said, I asked him, you know, like, so what happened here, and how this character changed from the beginning to the end, and he didn't really get it, so I asked him, why don't you read that again?
Okay.
He did, and then he did clarify his misunderstanding.
That's good.
So. But he still needs to be guided to do that.
Yeah.
He's not doing it on his own, you know what I mean? But, I mean, I feel like he's trying everything that I'm doing.
And you're modeling it, so like, I mean, I see modeling, I do, we do, you do. So hopefully he will as you keep going, because I mean, that's all we can do, right, is keep modeling it. When he said, it makes me have schema, what do you think he meant to say? And how could you get him to use that vocabulary word correctly, or the way you wanted to?
What do I think he meant when he said
that? When he said, it makes me have schema, what do you think he was trying to say?
Build his schema? What
you were reading
question?
At one point, you said to him, you asked him a question, and you were trying to get some information out of him, and he goes, oh, well, it makes me have schema. And then you said, well, it definitely pulls things out of your brain. So, do you not remember that part?
I think I do, but I don't remember exactly what I was thinking at the time. I think, he didn't use it correctly, but I knew he was along the right lines.
Yeah.
Like, he knew it was adding, I don't remember if it was adding or pulling from his schema.
Okay.
I forget.
But either which way, if it was added or taken away, when he didn't use the word correctly, obviously you knew what he meant to say.
I would just clarify what he how he should be saying it.
And I think you did. I think you said to him, to the point where he said something like, I think it makes me have schema. You were like, oh, it definitely builds your background, or it definitely pulls out from your background. And I think you reiterated what the word meant.
Oh, okay.
And I understood that, but like, if I didn't know what schema meant, I would have known that meant background. He seemed to have a little bit of difficulty with inferential. What do you why do you think that is? Like, with the questions, like, you were asking him questions about the story, and you were trying to get him to read into it. Why do you think that's one of his issues with this text, is having problems with inferential questions?
He has problems with inferential in everything that we do. So that's why I'm trying to build this foundation, and then that's where I'm going to be going next. Like, definitely inferring, cause and effect, those more specific skills. But I feel like he really needed these, like what good readers do things first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then get to the meat of, that's why I backed up even into schema and making predictions, because he can't really do it.
So if I understand you correctly, you're trying to help him be more successful with this by going back and building those foundation blocks so that he knows where to pull information from. I definitely saw you, again, model that. One of the things I thought was really interesting is he actually did a nice job with critical responses. Anytime you said something about berries or something, when you said something, he always had, it took him a second, but he always had something like, oh yeah, I picked strawberries before, and I did that. So it was really nice to see him have some extended or higher order thinking skills that were successful. And I don't know if that's something that you worked on or he just came with.
We have. But he does like to talk about his life. That's why I find out so much about him. That's why I chose the family, brother-sister thing, because although he didn't connect as much as I'd like him to, that is why I moved into that, because it's something familiar with him, and he has struggled so much with thinking outside the story with the inferential that I thought that would help.
And he did, I mean, you got to remember, don't be hard on yourself. It's the first lesson. I think we talked earlier today that from day 1 to day 4 last week was such a big difference. So you think about that from now. This is day 1. By day 4, he should be so much better. And, you know, don't be like, oh, you did come in, you were like, oh, this is not as good as I wanted it to be. But I thought it was a good first lesson for him to see. And you know what I mean? So I don't know, I thought it was as good as it could be. I would have probably been blown away if he was so over the top knowing everything, because then what were you going to teach?
Yeah. I mean, the hardest part, I think, was getting him to understand how the connections help or like don't contribute to the book or do contribute to the understanding of the book. You know what I mean? But he started to see that, I think, towards the end. And it was all kind of relating to the characters, and in my head I'm like, wait, should it all be relating to the characters? Like, I was getting, like, worried that that's all he's going to think now, because it kept relating to the characters. So tomorrow I want to kind of focus more on, you know, how the connections help you understand the entirety of the book.
Yeah,
you know?
I do know. I get what you're saying. There was one part, and I wanted to know what you were thinking, because I kind of get me thinking, so I always like to see what other people are thinking too. There was one time when, towards the end, the brother picked up the girl and carried her to safety. You had asked him, well, why do you think him and his sister will have a better relationship now? What do you think? Has he changed? And he couldn't at first get there. You were trying really hard to probe him, like to really get him to get there, but he never did. And you validated all his answers. You know, oh, they might tease a little bit. But I guess I was thinking, what were you trying to get him to see, and why was that important?
It just seemed like the overall structure of the book was, I wanted him to understand, because all of this to me is about getting him to comprehend the text overall. And I haven't done character change from beginning to end, but I do plan on doing that. But I was wondering if he could notice that. Okay. You know, it was kind of like a little assessment, I guess. Like, you know, did he see that even though they weren't getting along in the beginning and they fought the whole time through the book, you know, and the brother teased her at the end when it came down to it and she needed him, he was there. Yeah. But he didn't really get that big theme yet.
No, he didn't. But that's what I was thinking that you were trying to get him to say, is that, you know, when push comes to shove, your brother's there, you love each other. But I wasn't sure, but I wanted to see if that's what you were getting at, or if I was making it up in my head, like more, you know, more. So where do you see yourself going forward from today?
I definitely have to keep doing the connections, and I'm choosing texts that connect on purpose to ones that we read last week, like Gail Gibbons' books. You're going to use another one tomorrow, the Quilting Bee, and then a Patricia Polacco book, The Keeping Quilt. So I'm going to try to move into the text-to-text connections. Okay. But I'm wondering if I should spend another day on, like, text-to-self.
Well, he seemed to
mix them up.
Yeah, he seemed to really get the text-to-self. I think I like the idea of moving into another text, because I like to do that as well, so that they can, I'm hoping at some point they'll say, oh, this is just like, and then you can say that, you know, text-to-text, because he had, like, 6 or 7 text-to-selves between the two of you. So, I don't know, I think it will be, I think by the end of the week, he will have gained a lot, with not just text-to-self. I think he'll be doing more of the text-to-text, especially with the books that you're talking about using. So we're good for today, and I guess I will see you, I think I see you again next week, maybe. Okay, so we'll talk between them, but okay, that was it.
Thank you.
Thank you.